Welcome to FATV's coverage of Decision 2013. Join us for all the returns as Fitchburg chooses a mayor, city councilors, and school committee members. And now, live from our FATV studios, here's your host, Bill Gates.
Thank you very much, Scott. Thank you for joining us. We are live at FATV Studios on Kimball Street. And Decision 2013, there were a lot of choices for the city today. Joining me tonight is Vice President of FATV, Glenn Fossa. And Glenn, there were a lot of choices tonight.
There were. Of course, we know that the mayoral race was unopposed, so Lisa Wong, going to take the helm again for another couple of years, actually spoke to her earlier today on the telephone around 6 o'clock. And her day hasn't ended yet. She's still working. She spent most of the day visiting and meeting with some business folks, driving the city in that direction. She continues at this hour to do that, so she won't be with us this evening. And she's very excited about the new prospect of an economic development coordinator for the city.
And that's due to come up before the council, before the first of the year, before a new council would take place, correct?
That's right, and of course we probably can expect some discussion about that and moving it probably right into the new council.
Well, it's interesting, we have 4 out of the 6 wards, only 2 are uncontested. Ward 5, Angelo BISOL, and Ward 6, Jody Joseph, who's been there for quite some time now. And for councilors at large, 8 candidates and slots for only 5. So I'm sure people are waiting eagerly. The polls are now closed. We do have some of Fitchburg State students who are taking a class here at FATV. It's our first class that we've ever had in conjunction with Fitchburg State University, and we're really excited about that. We've got 13 students that are working in that class, and part of their curriculum is that they do some volunteer time here at FATV. So we've got a cameraman here in the studio, and we've got several of the students out at the polling places along with 2 of your sons.
That's right, we do. We've got volunteers and folks who have volunteered a number of hours to FATV as school interns and as independent producers. So this is exciting stuff for FATV too. I mean, we're going into another year, and this is probably one of the best years yet in terms of our young people volunteering.
Yeah, this has been a very good year, and we've got to thank the staff here at FATV, Dave Svens and Scott May and everyone here, that the work that they put in to put this course on. Scott and Dave in particular are running the course. So
that's right. I guess Ann Mravica from Fitchburg State University, of course, and
yes.
Of course the work that Dr. Antonucci does up there is just second to none.
Excellent. Well, the real purpose tonight is to give the candidates an opportunity once the voting is tallied and they know who the winners are. But we've invited all the candidates in tonight, win or lose. We've given them an opportunity. They don't have to come in. They're not required to, but we've given them an opportunity to come in here at FATV to thank their campaign staff or thank the voters. And 3 candidates are already here. So I think we should probably get ourselves started. And the first candidate coming on is Ward 5 Councilor, we'll call him, Angelo BISOL. Even though the votes are not tallied yet, Angelo, you ran unopposed. And your second time running.
Yeah.
Now, your first time was at large, which I think if you talk to most people who have run politics, they try to do the ward council first and then the at-large, but you're well known. You've done a lot for the city of Fitchburg, and you're constantly working on the civic days and all of the other. Geez, we don't have that clip from the bathtub again. I know we used that last year, but your thoughts about being a ward councilor? Obviously, you'll be going to work in January.
Yeah, I mean, surely when I first thought about doing this, it wasn't to build a resume. I just feel that I do have something to offer to the city. And, I think with every election, I know even this one running unopposed, I was still out there holding signs, and I think as any politician, I don't think we can ever take anyone's vote for granted. And, you know, even though I'm running unopposed, if there's blanks that come up, I would like those people who didn't have any confidence in me to call me up and let me know why, or maybe they just didn't know me. But I honestly feel that the city has a lot of opportunity, and I really want to help. That's really why I'm here, is to help.
Well, you, as I said before, you've done a tremendous amount for the city already, and it's great that you're going to have an opportunity to sit on the council and represent Ward 5. Is there anything in particular that, I mean, obviously you've been extremely involved in the city, but was there anything in particular that drove you the last time, 2 years ago, and this time to want to be on the council? Any issue in particular that really drives you?
I think the thing that really bothers me the most is there's a perception of our city. Mm-hmm. And I know the city. I've been in our parks, and I've been in civic days, and I've been involved in so many things. And a lot of times there's that little percent of the people that are kind of bringing our city down, and the perception that people have is not a pleasant one. And I want to change that, because I really know what the reality is. And don't get me wrong, I know that we have opportunities. But you know, with opportunities comes possibilities. And I know that we have a lot of possibilities to be better than what we are, and to allow people to actually see the Fitchburg that a lot of us in this room have seen and know. I had somebody from another city go to Cogswell Park with me the other day, and he said to me, I just cannot believe how gorgeous this park is. He goes, I don't understand why people don't see this about Fitchburg. And I said, well, this is what we see and we know of Fitchburg. And we really need to change the perception. And I think that if you can change the perception of Fitchburg, it will add to our tax base. You'll have new residents moving in. You'll have new businesses moving in. And I know it's not going to be easy, and I'm going to need the help from everybody, every citizen. There isn't one person that has all the answers, and I know that.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
In particular, we have a great advantage. We've talked about access to Route 2, how difficult that is for the city in terms of encouraging businesses to move in. But we have a university. We've got a fantastic art museum. You know, we've got the Civic Center, so in Cogswell. So we've got so many great things. Now another advantage coming in is we're going to have Great Wolf, and it seems like the amount of money that they're putting into that facility has got to be a draw, not only for Great Wolf, but people are going to spread out and check out the communities around it.
Yeah, and I think we need to be prepared for that. So really what it is whenever you develop a plan like that, it's starting with a basis. And one of the things that I would like to work on first, or like to talk to the other councils and citizens about, is do they actually know what we have available right now for space in the city? How are we marketing that space? Can we reach out to the local realtors and say, what's your suggestions on how we're going to market all the spaces that we have available? We do have land right off of Route 2 when it comes to South Street area, or when it comes to the Airport Road. There is available land right off of Route 2.
Yeah.
And I don't want to hear the excuses anymore that we don't have enough access to Route 2. We need to work around that. If we can't solve it short term, we need to look around and say, let's work with what we have, and let's see what we can do with what we have.
Well, there were certainly issues with Route 2. I think there were environmental issues more than anything else, specifically water, the reservoir for Lemon Slope, adjacent to the one proposed park anyway. But there still is some land that's available out there. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Now, Glenn was talking that the mayor is going to propose to the council over the next month or so an economic coordinator. What's your thinking on that?
I mean, I think it's long overdue. I think you need to have one person dedicated to this. And this person needs to be very active in reaching out to people and asking them what their opinions are or what they see. One of the things I think that's may be concerning is I don't know, I know that they had talked about having some kind of metrics as to how they're going to measure the success of this individual. But this isn't something that, and I'm hoping people don't look at it and say, well, in 6 months, if this person hasn't raised the tax base by this amount of dollars, I think I would be looking for somebody to show me on a monthly basis what they're doing to improve our spot when it comes to developing economics in the area. So.
Yeah, because my guess the successes can be balanced between the skills of an economic coordinator and what they have to work with within a given city.
Absolutely,
so,
yeah.
I guess there's certainly some give and take
Yep.
there. Is there anything you want to say to the voters out there or people that worked on your campaign?
Really, last time and even this time, I can't thank people enough for giving me that vote of confidence. I mean, it's one of those things when somebody can say, I trust you to represent me. And that's something that if I ever were to take that lightly, I hope somebody would let me know about it, because it's one of those things that it's a special thing when people give you that vote of confidence.
Yeah.
And I thank everybody who voted for me. I thank people who support me, and I want to hear from everybody. I want people to know that I'm willing to sit down and talk. I love to talk. So.
Excellent.
Nice job, Angelo.
Thank you very much for taking the time to come down and,
Not a
and
problem.
visit with us. We really appreciate it.
Yep,
and
not a
and
problem.
good luck in the upcoming 2 years.
Okay, thank you
Thank
very
you very
much. I
much.
appreciate it.
Take care.
We're going to quickly make a change here. We've got candidate counselor at large Rosemary Reynolds will be our next guest. We'll give her a little bit of time to get a mic hooked up. And
You know,
it's-
Angelo BISOL talked about Route 2, and he
Yes.
talked about the Great Wolf, and we talked about development. Huge, huge development going on Great Wolf, 50 million plus.
Yes.
Fitchburg State University downtown, transforming that whole lower Main Street area. There are so many things an economic developer can point to show the progress is in the right direction for Fitchburg.
When you look at the last 10 or 15 years, I think the progress has been fantastic. We're all excited. We all want to move Fitchburg forward, but it takes time. I want to welcome our next guest, Rosemary Reynolds, Counselor at Large, and also
Hello, Bill.
Candidate Counselor at Large. So the numbers haven't started coming in yet, so we have no idea where
Nor
things
do
are.
I. I'm very
But
nervous.
We really appreciate your coming in.
Thank you very
Taking the time
much.
to come in and talk with us and, talk to the voters. In particular, this is your, oh God, how many?
Well, I've been in for 4 terms, not consecutive, but 4 terms.
Right,
yeah.
at
So
large.
this will be my
4
5th, yes.
terms. Is there anything different coming around this time with I think, a little bit more of a challenge this year in terms of the number of candidates, but is there anything different in what the city faces that you feel is so important that you wanted to run again?
I think that the expectancy of good things is quite high now. Yeah,
we
we're
agree
not
with
quite
that.
in the depths that we were, and it was a dangerous time, still is dangerous, but I think hope has entered in a great deal.
I think it's always interesting to point out to point out that we're not really alone in the terms of the things that we face, both
Right.
economic-wise and access. Bringing in businesses. It's extremely difficult in this economy to drive a new market. With the
Right,
way the
right.
economy is, most businesses are kind of holding steady where they are before they're looking to reach out to go into other places.
But there's another aspect of the city that I think is moving forward, melding, and that's different sectors of the community seem to have more access to each other if you desire to attend the various events around.
Yes.
And it takes a lot of time to get accustomed to each other. But I think the community will only go forward when we do know and love one another, trust one another. Then we'll go, but it's a long, arduous road. But I think with Mayor Wong's mayoralty influence, she's been very open to multicultural access and I'll use the word melding. But you're both nodding, so you probably understand what I'm
Oh, sure.
referring to. You know, it's very nice. It's very nice, and I think it'll only get better in Fitchburg, where in the past, well, you can look at it from two ways: a positive way or a negative way. The glass is half full or half empty. We have such multicultural, say, students and families, and that can be difficult, but it also can be a huge opportunity for humanity, let's say.
It is a huge opportunity. You look at other cities and towns, Lawrence and Lowell and Boston. I mean, they're all multicultural.
Yeah.
And Fitchburg, and it's inevitable that Fitchburg would be that way multicultural because we always have been somewhat a hub of central Massachusetts, and and people are attracted to move here. I mean, there's a lot of things going on here.
There's so much going on. As I waited for the show, my goodness, there's so many activities going on. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it is wonderful. Is there any one issue, or we were talking with Angelo about
Yes,
the
I heard
economic
that.
coordinator and development. Is there any, is that issue or any other issue in particular strong with you as
Oh
coming
yeah,
into
that's a huge issue.
Yep.
And I think it is time. It's right, but it's the time to restore that economic directorship of the city, and full time too, because we have to rapidly catch on, not delay, with catch on to the changes that are going to come with the great wolf's appearance in the area.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll have spin-offs.
We certainly hope it does.
Yeah.
I mean, there.
Will there be more
when-
gas stations, I think.
When you have a company like that coming into an area and spending in upwards of somewhere in the vicinity of $80 million, they
Yeah,
know
that's
something.
huge.
That-
Right.
Well,
huge.
they're not just, they didn't put their finger out there with their eyes closed and pick a point on the map.
No,
They
no,
know
they saw
that
us
the
as an
railroad
opportunity.
station's coming.
Yeah.
They know that it'll be easier access for people to come in from Boston or Worcester or these other
Fabulous, yeah.
places. So,
And the thing is, they're not fledgling, they're a proven
No.
success, and their reputation is so high. Like,
Yeah.
whenever I tell anybody that one of their resorts is coming here, their eyebrows go up. That's great, you know?
yeah.
This is like a stock tip from Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
You know, when someone
Yeah,
wants
yeah.
to invest this
You're right.
kind of money into the community,
Right.
you kind of take a tip that it might be time to invest, particularly that West Fitchburg area being built up with
Right.
a new transportation
You're right.
section.
We've got some
great.
unofficial results coming in
Here they come now.
for Ward 4. Michael Kushmerek has 60% of the vote with 277, with Tricia Park at 40% with 182. Total votes 459. So that's interesting there. And that is not an official result. Again, we have feedback coming in from our folks out there at the polls, so we'll keep an eye on that, but that's a pretty good lead at this point.
And a good turnout.
A very good turnout.
Yeah.
You know, we're hoping that all of the precincts and wards are that way.
Earlier today, the councilors, Bill, were up at Crocker School, and there's a #1 school. So, Rosemary, you mentioned all of the different sectors and all the different cultural impact of the city. That is fantastic. So, educational sector, a lot talked about in
Yes.
the race for councilor at large.
Right.
Another element that we're looking at.
And obviously, how lucky we are to have the college. So
And some new results.
Another result, Ward 3 council race, NEISHA BOULANGER, 44% at 317 votes, with Joel KADDY at 51% with 368,
Very
total
close, yeah.
721. That's very close.
Very close race.
Very, very close. So that's a final?
And we're told these are finals.
All of
yeah.
these are finals.
they're all
Okay,
finals.
sorry.
All right.
Okay. It says all results are unofficial at this time. Anyway. Okay, so Joel KADDY, 51% of the vote. So
Very
it
good.
looks like Joe will be in again for another 2 years. And it looks like Michael Kushmerek has
Yes.
won in
Yeah.
Ward 4. So congratulations to both of them. And I hope they do stop by later on this evening. Rosemary, is there anything you want to say to the voters out there or your campaign staff, people that have helped you out over the years?
May I just tell you a little story? I had such a delightful day. No matter what the results are, I had 7 of my grandchildren with me for several hours. And it was Civic Day Class Plus. they held up signs, and then when I went to vote, I asked permission if I could instruct them how a person goes through voting, and I was allowed to, and that was so interesting to tell them first. We do this and then that and that and this, and then we covered several of the wards and ended with a trip to the fire station. Good. So they crawled in and out of all of the beautiful equipment that we have there. So to the city of Fitchburg, you can see there's a decent turnout, and I think that we're alive and well.
Good.
And I thank everybody
that
did cast their vote for me.
Okay, we have Ward 2 Councilor. We've got Patrick O'Halloran, 29% of the vote with 194, and Paul BOUCHEMIN with 51% of the vote, 347. So congratulations to Paul BOUCHEMIN, who will be the next representative of Ward 2.
Yeah, very
so
impressive.
Again, I hope Paul stops by and talks to us. So, Rosemary, I want to thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having
I know it's been a busy campaign and a busy day today, so we really do appreciate you taking the time to come in.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Rosemary,
nice
good
to
to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Next, we've got Kelly Johnson and Amy Green. Are you coming on together? Oh, wonderful.
Excellent.
Wonderful. Great.
Thank you, Rosemary.
Thank you, Rosemary. Come right in. We're live. We can do anything we want here.
How are you?
Good.
Kelly, good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
So this is now both of you, your first time campaigning. What's your thoughts? Something you'd ever do again?
No, certainly not. I'll do it again.
Yeah.
Lessons learned, about knocking on doors and getting the word out there. I'm very soft-spoken. I feel like I'm too loud sometimes.
No.
Lots of lessons, lots of things to take with me. I've been very active, so I'm not stopping.
Oh, I don't want her to stop. I mean, you know what, we're going to work together collaboratively. You know what I mean? She's got great contacts, I've got great contacts, so together we'll pool those together and we'll bring Ward 1 with some change, positive change.
I found that really interesting and very nice when we had the candidates night at Fitchburg State University, how everyone kept kind of talking back and forth to each other, congratulating one another. It's nice to see that, because what that means is everybody has one really good purpose, and that's to move the city forward.
Right.
And that's
right.
great.
And we're going to do that. I've said this from day one, is Ward 1 will set the example for all the other wards to follow, because when we get stuff done, which we will, constituents and residents of the other wards are going to say, geez, they're getting stuff done, why aren't we getting stuff done? And it'll just be implementing tools and systems that are already in place, but just getting the word out there to the residents that, we've got some real attainable goals. And that will be the measure of our merit.
Was there anything in particular when you were walking around the neighborhood that Ward 1 was particularly interested in? What was the main issue that, again, certainly they want to concentrate on Ward 1 and things that are going on in their neighborhood, on in the streets, but what was there anything in particular that jumped out?
Crime.
Crime.
So I think probably, one of the first orders of business is going to be, establishing active neighborhood community watch groups, to let, people who shouldn't be operating in the neighborhood know that, we're watching them. So, yeah, we're going to make a difference.
There's an important piece there. Nationally, the statistics are about 4 to 6% of the population get into some situation that needs police attention. That means the majority of the folks involved are all good folks rowing the boat in the same direction.
Right.
So this is a win.
Right, it is a win, and we see that in our neighborhood. We've got great neighborhoods in Ward 1. They just need tools to put in place so that we can establish and get these practices going.
Kelly, was there anything in particular with the residents that you talked with that you thought stood out to them?
I think it's more of a citywide issue than just a ward issue. Of course you hear crime, of course you hear the street lights, the road conditions, businesses, taxes, water rates. I don't think it's a ward issue. I think stepping up, to the ward plate, you can really get things done more neighborhood to neighborhood. and collaborate with other ward counselors so that you can implement things that they've already taken and researched and really championed themselves, and take that to Ward 1 and move on from there.
Well, that certainly it makes all the sense in the world. Everything that you've been discussing so far tonight isn't just particular to Ward 1. We know that every ward in the city is facing the same type of issues. So,
Right, and it is citywide.
yeah,
And here are the numbers. Amy Green,
62%,
62% of the vote.
374. Go ahead, Glenn.
and with 374 votes, and of course you, Kelly, with 34% of the vote and 206 actual votes. Early on, meet and greets, we saw both of you. There was a synergy between you. You're working as a team on this Ward 1 initiative.
Yeah, I mean, why step up and have any sort of conflict and go after something that each of us are passionate about? I've been a volunteer in the city for, you know, a few years. I'm still very young, so it's new for me. But to see her step up and to see that we have the same passions and we have the same concerns, why are we going to work against each other? You're not doing your voters any favors. So.
I think that's fantastic. I think that should be a model for the entire city.
Well, and I think we've set, the standard high with that, we're working together, so let's work together on on council-wide,
Yeah.
so.
So it's really wonderful that we're going to see you two working together in Ward 1, and then obviously that's going to be a plus for the entire city. So, is there anything you want to say to your campaign folks or the voters out there?
Huge thank you. I mean, they've been, supportive 100% of the time, every time, and still continue to. Was out, 6:10 this morning, right up until 8 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
So. No, just a big thank you, and I appreciate the fact that, over 600 people in our ward showed up to vote.
I tell you, it appears that there was a great turnout across the city, so
Right,
that's
so that's a
encouraging.
plus.
That's always good.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you both for taking the time to come down.
Thank you.
It's wonderful. I'd love to have you both come back after those first couple of months in office and talk about what you're doing together and working in your ward, because I just think that's a wonderful attitude. So
Yeah, I'd be up for that.
Of course.
thank you both very much.
All right. Thank you.
Bring tea.
I will. Yeah, I will. Thank you.
That's good.
All right, we've got Ward 3, the newly elected Ward 3 councilor, and continuing, Joel KADDY. Joel, nice to see you.
Joel, good to come in tonight. Good to
Thank
see
you
you.
very much for stopping by. Really appreciate it. So now, God, this is your fifth ward term?
No,
Sixth
she and I
term.
decided to go in together.
Wow. And does it feel any, now, the last couple of times you were running unopposed, this was the first time you actually had someone running against you. So how was it to have that person to kind of...
She is a very, very nice girl. And it was a nice campaign, I think, for
She
both of
handled
us.
herself very well.
She very well, and I hope that she's back to do something for the city. She has the drive, very intelligent, very nice person.
Yeah. So your thoughts about this campaign session and what you've got coming up over the next 2 years?
Well, in the last few years with Lisa Wong, I think the city took ourselves out of the hole. The Department of Revenue wanted us to have 5% of our total budget in the bank, and the mayor and the council have done that in the last 5 years. I know you've heard it many times, but the next thing on the table is going to be OPEB, the retirement problem that's throughout the country, and that's next on our agenda. We have to start banking money and put money away for that. At the same time, as you know, we need more policemen, we need more firemen, we need DPW workers, we need the lights on. When you're there and you're working behind the scenes with a budget, it's very, very difficult. And for a city like Fitchburg, where we are today and where we were 5 years ago, we're way ahead of the game. But we're still not over. There's still a lot of work to do.
And it's great to point out, Joe, because you made a very good case. It's easy sometimes for us who are involved in the day-to-day workings of politics and the running of the city to easily sit back and say, well, I want the lights turned on. Or I think there should be 5 new firefighters, 5 new police officers. Certainly, it's just not that easy. And I think everybody understands that there's the planning that has to go with it, but it is a real strain and it's a real struggle to be able to move things, shift things, try to find new revenues to cover these things.
Yeah. Again, we could turn the lights on. We could pave new streets. We could hire more school teachers. There's a lot of smart people on the council. The mayor's very smart. Everyone's working very, very hard to figure this out. But I don't think anybody can say that we're not in a forward movement. We are moving forward. We are doing better than we did.
Yeah, most certainly. How do you feel that the Great Wolf coming in, it's going to affect your ward?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if people really understand how really of a big deal this is.
Yeah.
I've been up there. They're in full construction. The city stands to make or to bring in about $1 million on the room tax. And I think the mayor and the council are all on the same page. We want to take that entire $1 million and put it towards our OPEB account. Plus the real estate taxes will be increased from them. We don't have to continue to put in $1 million a year like we have towards our rainy day account because we've obtained that goal, but we still have to put 5% of our budget next year into that account. So next year it'll probably be $200,000. So we may gain on OPEB, but it's such a long road. It's such awful lot of money. But I do think it's time to start restoring some of the things that we lost during the tough times. Police department in particular. When the times are good, the manpower goes up, and when the times are bad, the manpower goes down. I think we should find that the amount of patrolmen or policemen that we want and keep that amount at a straight line instead of going up and down with the economy. And I think by doing that, I think I think the police department will feel better about it. But we need to find out what that minimum manning is, and we need to keep that minimum manning.
I want to take one second. I'd like to invite someone else in because NEISHA is here.
Yep. And
I'd love to have her come in with you. NEISHA, nice to meet you.
Oh.
Nice
You
to
guys
meet
were close. They were close numbers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very close numbers. And I have to ask you, you're against the guy that's been in there for 6 terms and your first
You did
time
very well.
running. Some of your thoughts? Would you do it
Good
again?
run. It's always interesting when you have someone who is new to face an incumbent. It almost
It's
is
always healthy. It's always healthy.
I hope that, I lit a spark too and helped motivate him to really take community action and get involved. And I think he's doing pretty good. I give him credit for being out there. Both of us out there from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., no breaks, no eating.
It's a lot of work.
It was interesting, and just the reception from people coming in and out of the polls is also, very motivating. I mean, even as I lose, I'm still motivated to continue being involved. So I'm not going to go anywhere.
I think that's great, and I can't say enough about how healthy that is and how great that sounds. It came from Amy and Kelly in Ward 1 working together, and now you two talking about that. That's only positives for the city.
Yeah,
without question.
absolutely. I mean, we all are in this together. It's our city. So I think if we have that approach of, utilizing each other's resources and tapping into that, we can accomplish so much more. So.
Yeah.
We had a great group of candidates, and we have to give due credit, of course, Bill, to the Sentinel and Enterprise, and Elena Melanson did a great job of putting a lot of information, bios together, and so we're giving due credit tonight to them as well.
Yeah, I can't say enough about the Sentinel and Enterprise over the last few years under the leadership of Charles Salmon. They've done a great job. They've really come back to the local paper, in my view. So.
Yeah, and they're very easy to work with, too.
Yeah, yeah. Is there anything you want to say to your campaign workers and the voters out there, both of you?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for the support and just believing in somebody that didn't have a strong political background to motivate me and push me forward to continue doing it. I mean, I have a family, so sometimes it's hard to juggle those campaign efforts with a family.
Yeah.
No problem, everybody was on board. I have a wonderful campaign manager, Sherry Lynch, who came in towards the tail end for that final push. And that really got me out door knocking a lot more than I had originally planned for. So just getting out there, meeting people, shaking hands. I want to just thank everybody that I met. Very well received in the neighborhood and met a lot of great people. So.
Joel? Your campaign workers? And
Well, no, I didn't do that. I been on the council for 10 years now, and I work at my job every day. I just felt if they thought I was doing a good job, they'd re-elect me.
Mhm.
So I didn't have a campaign manager, and I didn't have a campaign, and I just did what I do every day. And like I said, if they wanted to vote for me, they would.
Well, congratulations to you both, because you both, as I told Amy and Kelly, it was encouraging at the candidates night at Fitchburg State University to see candidates that were opposing one another, and everyone was talking back and forth, and it was great. There didn't seem to be any ill feelings at all, and I find that, again, extremely encouraging and very much positive for the city.
Thank you.
I want to thank you both for taking the time to come down.
Sure.
It's been a long day for me. So,
It has.
yeah.
We were looking for
If you
massage
haven't eaten
therapists,
yet,
so.
I'm sure someone's got supper waiting for you somewhere. So, thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for taking
Thank
the time to join
you.
us. Do we have
We know we'll
anybody
see a
in-
lot
in
more of
waiting?
NEISHA as well.
Thank you. All right. Have a
Take
good
care.
night,
Thank
gentlemen.
you. Thank you so much. This has been great, the people that have come down and taken the time to be with us, because it's so important to kind of catch those last little bits of feelings that people have, whether they've won or lost. We've got, again, the Ward 1 councilor results. Amy Green, 62%, 374. Kelly Johnson with 206 votes. And the two of them, without question, are going to be working together. And the fact that they both came in together and sat down, and the same with Joel and NEISHA, just speaks volumes for the city.
I had been at a meet and greet, I was up at Knights of Columbus, and both Kelly and Amy were there, and they're sharing information, they're sharing. And we may be leading the way politically with that, and there were different opinions. Obviously we saw that at candidates night.
Oh, sure.
Different ideas of how you get things accomplished. But the passion and the commitment is there, and what more could you ask for?
Well, and the important thing is you see that there are people that are so dedicated to the city. Lisa Wong with those 2,895 total votes, with the mayor getting 1,833 of those.
Yeah. Nice vote of confidence.
And write-ins 190, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know what those are, but again, mayor at 63% of the votes cast. So where was I? I just that train of thought that derails.
Yes.
I just derailed my own
And I
train
think
of
we're
thought.
going to see Ward 6. Is it 6?
Is it Jody Joseph?
Jody
this year?
Joseph, how many, did we get the votes on that, or is that?
No, I don't think
We're
we've
not
got
ready for
anything
that?
on Ward 6 yet.
Okay, not yet.
Okay.
All right.
So again, seeing Amy and Kelly come in working
Yeah.
together, and I think where I was going with that is when the new council starts to go to work, there certainly is going to be a atmosphere of working together. If there are some new faces, they're going to want to get their feet wet. They're going to get in there and understand what the council is all about. But positive thinking, wanting to move the city forward, just again translates to
A number
good
of the
things.
indicators, Bill, are that, in this particular race in West Fitchburg with Joel, a good number of votes, very, very close race, which means those council meetings will be full of people interested in what's going to be said, what's going to go on, particularly for the award. Interesting to probably take a brief historical economic look at this. If we looked at the 70s and the 80s when General Motors and big three companies, General Electric, were finding other ways to be competitive in the world, the emerging world market. We lost a lot of jobs to exportation, automation. It's almost an interesting study to see how the 20-year effect of that hit government, because essentially a lot of those economic engines changed the economies of those communities. We're no different. We saw that with the mill industry and the paper industry.
Yes.
The backlash from private industry into government, where government no longer has that funding that they were used to, and sort of reinventing themselves. That's where we are today. Joel alluded to that in how do you fund public sector jobs with the lack of that income. So there's a big education piece here for everyone to sort of what do we do next to reinvent how we maintain these levels of staffing.
Yeah, and it's, let's see what we've got here. Counselor at Large, Marcus D. Natale with 2,007 votes. Stephen Hay, second with 1,836. Dean Tran, third place, 1,737. Jeff Bean is in fourth, 1,647. And Dave Clark is fifth with 1,334. Nick Carboni is just a little bit behind Dave Clark with, again, 9%, 1,230. Yeah. Rosemary Reynolds, 1,065. And Kevin Lynch at 520. So as it looks, is this a final? No.
Yeah,
okay, so as it stands right now, we've got the five top candidates are Marcus Di Natale, Steve Hay, Dean Tran, Jeff Bean, and Dave Clark.
Right.
So, we have any other?
One more still to go.
One more what?
One more ward to go.
Still to go.
Okay, all right. We don't have any other guests that have come in yet? No. Okay. All right, so so that means we have to keep talking.
Well,
No.
less than 100 votes now between Dave and Nick Carboni.
Yeah, that's
so
going to be very close. That's going to be an
Uh,
interesting one to watch.
May have
and,
to look at the actual
both great people.
counts. Yeah.
So.
Great council. You know, we see a lot of education, attorneys, folks with master's degrees. Interesting, when I was reading the bio for Jeff Bean, went to UMass Boston, as did I. There's a lot of UMass Amherst folks, but I was interested to see that. Did not know that about Jeff Bean.
Yeah.
So an interesting piece of his bio there. The front runners, you know, Steve Hay, getting a significant amount of vote.
Second place.
And yeah, and of course some of the front runners as well. The top five, looking at five
Now
councilors.
Marcus, in the last election, I believe Marcus was the top vote getter for a councilor at large the last time around too, and continues to do so. Yeah. His concerns for finances and to make sure that the everything is in order, people obviously like that.
Yeah,
They're paying attention to it.
They're passionate about their work. Marcus, of course, a big financial guy. That's a very important piece for the city.
We've got some a little bit of a change again. Still the same five on top, with a very close between Dave Clark and Nick Carboni. That's final.
This is a final, yeah.
Okay, this is, all right, the top vote getter was Marcus Di Natale with 2,372, Stephen Hay, 2,163, Dean Tran with 2,090, Jeff Bean, 1,897, and Dave Clark, 1,571, followed by Nick Carboni with 1,450, Rosemary Reynolds, 1,271, and Kevin Lynch with 627. So we have our new five councilors at large.
We do indeed. It looks like now in the final, between Dave Clark and Nick Carboni, over 100 votes separating that final.
That was very, very close, very close.
Important.
And in terms of newcomers, there are really no newcomers other than Dave Clark, being a former Ward 1 councilor, has moved to councilor at large. So congratulations to all of them. We've got about 20 minutes left, so we hope they stop by and say hello to everybody and thank the voters out there and thank their campaign workers. Yeah. I'm sure they're doing that anyway. I'm sure they're having some parties at their house. So.
Well, I know they're meeting at Destary. There's always a rollout after elections recently at Destary. So they may make their way over here.
Maybe we should go live there next year.
Well, you know, there's plenty of beverages, I guess, to be had. Dave Clark, you know, we know him here at FATV, of course. He's on the board, Bill, and Dave, as a as a ward counselor, consistent, having meetings, always open and listening, would always reach out to the police. Oftentimes I may go in the police capacity. The chief of police would go. We would even have the route cars come in and speak with folks. Not every ward counselor does that, but David was always consistent, and I think that meets out in the end. People know that. They know he's committed to the job, and he does a great job. Wonderful wife, Sherry, and beautiful family. Just well-deserving, of course.
Yeah, I mean, we've got, again, Marcus Di Natale, Stephen Hay. Stephen has been the president of the council. We've got Ward 6, Jody Joseph, with 554 votes tallied. Jody has got 71% with 396 votes. So congratulations to Jody. He was unopposed. And this, I think he's 5 or 6.
He is 6. He is Ward 6, yeah.
I mean, as far as terms.
6 terms.
He's in his 6th term or 5th term.
He's actually in my ward.
Yeah.
We spoke just a couple days ago, and so he's, I'm sure he's pleased with being in again.
You know, again, with the new makeup of, well, not a really new makeup, the only new face right now is Amy Green.
Amy Green.
So we still, what do we have a final on Mike Kushmerek and Tricia?
An update.
Park?
Tricia Park.
Do we have an update on that? Coming. Okay.
To a
Coming
theater near you.
attractions. Again, that'll be another instance. So there's going to be 2 new faces on the council, 3 new faces. Paul Boschman has one. So
And,
as it
here we are.
stands, okay, Michael Kushmerek with 459 votes. Michael has 60% with 277. Tricia Park at 40% with 182. So congratulations to Michael Kushmerek, who will be
Fairly substantial lead for Michael. Tricia is very passionate in her message. I don't anticipate she will disappear in this either. I think we're going to see an awful lot of her interest in furthering things for the city in her ward. She's passionate about where she lives and likes her neighborhood, so she's going to work hard.
So the 3 new faces on the council will be Michael Kushmerek, Amy Green, and Paul Boschman.
Yes.
And Angelo
Bisol.
So we've got some new faces, and we've got the 5 councilors at large that have basically, they've all been there before, and that's good for the consistency.
Right.
Help the newcomers along a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So let's see.
Angelo, of course, is no stranger to city business, but now he's going to have a position of...
We've had Angelo on Inside Fitchburg a number of times during the summer months when it comes up for the 4th of July. And the guy is just so active in all of the city events that go on. And he's quiet. He never says, you're not going to find that guy out there slapping himself on the back.
Right.
And I think that's what you got to really like
Right.
about that guy.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's so committed to the city. So it's extremely encouraging.
Yeah.
With the new people that are coming on.
Great personality, affable, humorous.
School committee.
School committee, that's right.
Pete Stevens is the top vote getter with 2,310, followed by Jean LaBelle Pierce at 1,371, and Tom Ferrazzano at 11%, 861 out of 8,022 votes cast. Is that a final also? Yes. Okay, so those are the 3 new school committee members.
Right.
That will take effect in January.
Yeah, Pete Stevens, of course, an incredible, over 1,000, almost 1,000 more votes than the other 2. An icon and a name synonymous with that of the school committee and education.
Yeah.
Education, big piece in this year's election.
It's a huge piece.
A lot of conversation about it. A lot of good things. We alluded to the Crocker School visit that a lot of folks made today, including Mayor Wong was there at Crocker School.
And congratulations to Matt Brune from Fitchburg State University. 2,356 votes out of 3,332 for 71% of the vote, and he was unopposed for a 2-year term, so congratulations to Matt. He does a nice job.
Matt was appointed in the last round. As you know, it was a short stint by a gentleman named Michael Budney, and he gave up his position, and Matt was appointed, and now a tremendous victory running, obviously unopposed, but got a good percentage of vote there. That's a good vote of confidence.
And I got to say, Jean LaBelle Pierce has been involved with the city for such a long time. She's a member of the Crocker Field Committee. She's a very hard worker, and I suspect that she will be a superb
Yes.
school committee member. Tom Ferrazano, I don't know Tom that well. He's been on Inside Fitchburg a number of times. He's worked with the Martin Luther King Day.
Right.
So we congratulate all three of them and hope for the best in the
Right.
school committee. And that's a tough job.
Oh, it is.
It's a very tough
there's
job
a
being
lot
on
of
the
decisions to
school
make,
committee.
and they're critical.
And no pay.
And no pay. What do we have here?
Okay.
Oh, this is the final on mayor, 2,183, it looks like. Number of blanks and 225 write-ins?
225 write-ins. I'm
Yeah.
curious. And
That's
again, I
interesting.
think they took the practice a number of years ago to not name
Right,
who the
yeah.
write-ins were, unless
Yeah.
they were certainly up there in contention.
And
so
I'm sure they're not all the same one.
no, I'm sure they're not. So interesting. 63% of the vote. So the mayor will continue on with another 2-year
She
term.
will indeed. I know that her focus, she made some mention in the most recent newspaper article with regard to the Sentinel Enterprise article with regard to, what this means for the future. She's centering and focused on business and recovering some of the business lost, of course, that the city needs desperately to make the economics work.
Certainly going to be a real important part of her 2-year package is the economic coordinator, the economic plan, to bring the city forward. Certainly Great Wolf is going to help tremendously.
Right.
And with all of the other extra businesses or peripheral businesses
That's
that
right.
will be starting up
That's right.
in the vicinity of Great Wolf. And certainly the train station, which I believe is due to start, I think, next year.
Yeah, very soon.
Anybody, is it next year? Scott May knows.
Dave Clark's coming.
Yep.
Dave Clark's coming.
He's coming in? Okay,
So we'll
great.
see Dave Clark
Excellent.
very soon.
We're going to have Dave Clark come in, join us in a few minutes and talk about some of the things here at FATV and talk about some of the people that have helped out today, put all this together, the staff and everyone else that has worked together. So
So I see he's getting
Dave.
his evening jog in, Bill.
he does have it. He does have his, he's got it on his Clark sweatshirt.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, Dave. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you
How's
guys.
everything?
Thank you so much for
Good to see
stopping
you.
by and congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, I
Congratulations.
just
That was
found
a-
out in the hallway that I had won, so I felt pretty good though, saw the first couple of precincts, my home area come in and they came in real strong.
Yeah, good.
So that was a good signal for me.
Yeah, that's nice. Again, being a ward councilor and jumping to at large, people may not think that's a big jump because your name still gets in the paper and whatnot, but it is.
I can tell them firsthand that it's a heck of a jump. I mean, it's difficult too, running against the top 5 of the ballot, the incumbents.
Sure.
That's really difficult. But I want to thank my father-in-law, Jack Willett, and we went out we went out a lot of times. We tried a couple of different things. We would bring out some cards and wave at people at, in front of the British Club in West Fitchburg.
I was
We
hoping
thought-
you weren't going to say you're going to play a little poker. when
No,
you take out
it's
the
just that,
cards.
that was a spot, West Fitchburg, that we didn't think people really went after. And there's a lot of people who vote from West Fitchburg. So
Sure.
we tried to do that a little bit and, around the Upper Common, because it was difficult to go to everybody's house.
And you
so-
made a point of that when you ran for ward council. You walked the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And certainly, I understand that you can't hit every place.
No.
But I'm sure you
It's
tried.
fun to try. I remember a lot of...
Do you know what percentage you might have had?
I remember Rob Gallo a couple of times. I was walking through the neighborhoods. It was a kind of running joke with my wife. She'd say, how many people you go see tonight? And I'd say, 4. Because you sat down and you talked with these people,
Yeah,
and
you don't want to cut them short.
and it's like you know, hey, we have some wine here. Would you like to sit down and have? Sure. By the way, Bob Gallo, I'm sorry I didn't make your house. I promised he'd be the last house if he had a bottle of wine there. So I was a little tied up.
We do want to point out that Councilor Clark is not a wino.
No, thank you. Well, at least that you don't know of, anyway.
Well, yeah, as long as you invite us.
What else is happening today?
Well,
I didn't see. I've known nothing. So tell me what's going on.
The top five: Marcus Di Natale,
Yeah.
Steve Hay, Dean Tran.
Steve worked very hard.
Steve was second.
Very hard.
Yeah. Marcus was the top vote getter, and followed by Stephen Hay, then Dean Tran, Jeff Bean, and then yourself.
Here
there you
they
go,
are here.
right up
Yep.
there. So, and Nick Carboni wasn't that far behind you.
Right.
No, Nick ran super. Especially
He's
down the
an
last couple of
excellent
weeks.
candidate too.
He is.
And I trust we'll see more of Nick Carboni.
I hope so.
I hope
Yeah.
so.
I really hope we do.
I hope so.
It-
Nick's a great guy.
And Amy Green won at Ward 1. And
That's my old.
Paul Boschman
Stop it, guys.
won in Ward 2.
Did
Joel
he, yeah.
Caddy, Ward 3.
Yeah.
Mike Kushmerek
Yeah.
in Ward 4.
Yeah.
Because Angelo and Jody Joseph were unopposed. So, school committee, Pete Stevens, Jean LaBelle Pierce, and Tom Farzano. So that is the makeup for the council for your next time around. And it was
How was Leominster tonight? Does anybody-
I have
Haven't got
no
any
idea.
numbers.
I haven't
Yeah.
been following
Maybe we
that.
can get them in the
And that's an
control room
interesting
to,
one to follow too.
To
But
get it.
in particular, we were talking in the beginning, we got about 2 minutes left here, Dave.
Yeah.
Next thing up on the agenda for the council, is still as your Ward 1 councilor, it will be the economic coordinator. Any feelings or insight you want to offer?
So we need one, and that person's probably, you know, that person's salary is going to be coming out of what he or she, you know, brings into us. So
Yeah.
I think it's you know, probably should have done it a while ago, but as my teacher used to say, Mr. Mackey, when I handed in that paper late, Mr. Clark, better late than never, better never late.
Words of wisdom from
Excellent.
Councilor Clark.
Thanks. I'm just, like I said, I did not know that I had won until I pulled in here, so it's kind of, you know, we were trying to get all the numbers and do it that way, but
You know,
guys do a good
being
job.
on the board of directors at FATV, I just got to tell you that Scott and Dave and everyone here did such a great job tonight. They got the kids from Fitchburg State, the students from Fitchburg State University have come in. We've got one operating a camera here, Kevin, and they all went out to the different precincts and reported back.
Yeah.
Special thanks to Travis Falk. He put the graphics up.
Wow.
An incredible job.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Travis. You are the king.
He is. And the king of bowling, too.
We want to thank Darren Dame, too, who's
Yeah.
usually working on Inside, well, he will be at Inside Fitchburg tomorrow night, so.
And FATV couldn't do it without the volunteers. Bill, we are making the pitch. Get involved with Fitchburg Access Television, and you too can be part of the crew.
And with that, we've got about a minute and a half left. Dave, anything you want to say to the voters and your campaign people?
No, I had I was going to talk about a football game, but I don't think we're doing it this weekend, so.
No, Fitchburg has got 1 or 2 games left before
They're
Thanksgiving,
at
but
North
they're kind of,
Middlesex, so.
yeah.
But I just want to thank the people out there that voted for me today. It was a long day. We were out there starting at 7 and stayed right till, 8 to 8. And, you know, I'm 55 years old now. I'm starting to feel a little bit. I tell you, right now my knee is killing me. It is absolutely throbbing, killing me.
It was that jog from the control room.
It was at it, yeah, thanks, Glenn.
Now, we're going into the candidate's injury report. And,
But I'd like to also thank Rosemary, you know, Councilor Reynolds. You know, she's a neighbor, lives right around the corner, just a wonderful person, and loves Fitchburg and is so talented. And you know, so I want to thank Rosemary for her service to the
Dave, congratulations, and eager to see you next year in the Councilor at Large position. And we want to thank you all for joining us tonight for our Decision 2013. Glenn,
Oh,
thank you so much.
my pleasure, Bill.
Thank everybody on the staff. And tune in tomorrow night for Inside Fitchburg at 7 o'clock. Thank you and good night.